everyone, it's Sharon, recreation programmer for the city of Burlington, and today I have an indoor-outdoor activity for you. We are going to do some snow transfer painting.
Hey everybody.
Hi everyone.
Hello everyone.
Hello, it's great to see you.
Hopefully the weather is cooperating with you and it is snowing. If it isn't, I will give you some variations that you can do inside, but it is super fun to be able to do outside. So there's two things you can do. One is with a coffee filter and the other is with paper and tissue. So I'll go through the things that you need for both and then go through them one at a time. If you're going to do the coffee filter, you are going to need coffee filters, some markers, and a pair of scissors. Some blank or scrap paper, newsprint, anything like that is also good because when you color these, they tend to bleed through, so you don't want that all over your table. If you're going to do the tissue paper part of it, you're going to need paper. Printer paper is fine, cardstock is good, watercolor paper is great. A pair of scissors and some tissue. You can use leftovers from Christmas. I will suggest that if you have something called bleeding tissue paper that you use that because it works the best. I used a tiny little amount. As you can see, there's just a tiny little corner out of this that I used. You don't need a whole lot for this depending on what it is that you're going to do. So for your coffee filter, color this first. And as I said, when you're coloring it, put a piece of paper or something underneath it so it doesn't get all over your table because the marker will bleed through. This does not have to be completely covered with color. You can just do squiggles. You can do weird little shapes. You're hoping, the idea is that the color is going to bleed into each other. So if it's completely covered, it's going to look really, really muddy. So do a little pattern. You can just do squiggles. Talk about color theory with your kids because you can, if you put green, not green, but if you put blue and yellow close to each other, when they bleed together, you're going to get green. So you can talk to your kids about the things that they might see. Once that's done, colored up, fold it in half, fold it in half again, fold it in half again. We're gonna make a snowflake. Take this, this is much easier for little ones than paper is just because it's a little bit thinner. So it's a little bit easier for them to cut. Make sure that your main fold line, you don't cut through that. You can cut around, just don't cut through the whole thing or you're gonna have 2 snowflakes instead of 1. Cut however you would like to make all sorts of different shapes. And then when you unroll it, it's gonna look like this. I did this one first without coloring it, then realized how hard it was going to be for me to color my snowflake. So that's why I do suggest color it first. You could also color it, get it wet and let the bleed happen, let it dry, and then cut out your snowflake after if you so choose. There's a couple different ways you can do that. So color it, cut it, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put it on top of another piece of paper. You can just take a blank piece of paper and set it on there. You can put it on a plate, you can put it on a cookie sheet, whatever you happen to like. I do suggest that you may want to put some tape on it to hold it down because the wind will blow it away, even if it's not a super windy day. You're going to take this outside with you when you go out to play, and you're going to let it snow on it. As you can see on our coffee filter that those colors are starting to bleed as that snow is landing on them and melting a little bit. The tissue paper seems to be taking a little bit more time, but that just means that you can play longer outside while your artwork is developing. I did put a little bit of moisture on the back of the tissue, and I would suggest that you might want to put a teeny bit or tape down your coffee filter, as if there's a little bit of a wind, it will blow it away. This one, this is the one that I showed you guys outside, and it's currently just drying. I did end up not taping it down and it blew onto my deck, which is fine, except that it could get a little dirty or it might muddy up the colors a little bit, which is fine. So this is what this one looks like. And all I did, if you remember from just a bit earlier in the video, is they were squiggles. That's all it was. But you can see that we've got some green and some blue happening. We've got a little orange being made from the yellow and the red. So you get to see some of that happen. So I can let that dry and I can use it however I want. I can use it as an art piece. I know that people have done these and you can make them into butterflies with some clothes pegs. You can let it dry, cut it, and then make it into a snowflake. Whatever you happen to like to do with it, they're super fun. So once it's dry, it will look like this. I did this one inside and I used an eyedropper. I used a bit too much, I think, so it was really, really wet, and the color, a lot of the color bled out, as you can tell by this piece of paper. But I will say, I now have this lovely piece of paper that I could take and cut and make into a beautiful art piece as well. I would suggest something small. This is a little spritzer travel bottle that you can spritz water on, and then you can have a bit more control with it if you'd like to. So that's the coffee filter. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. In terms of the tissue paper, you're going to cut out your tissue paper however you like. I cut these little guys, sorry, so that they looked a little bit like flowers, but you can cut it however you want. Or as a tearing exercise for young kids, they can just rip them into pieces. It doesn't matter. And as we said, you can talk color theory. So if you put some blue and some yellow together, you may end up with something that looks green. You're going to set them on your paper. I will say, if you have a little eyedropper or even a Q-tip or something, you can moisten just a touch of it. So just put a little blob on the back and stick it to your paper so that when you go outside, this also doesn't blow away. This one I happened to do with an eyedropper again. So I think that there was a bit too much water because I lost the shape of my flowers and those sorts of things. So I still like it. It's kind of blobby and neat. And again, I can take this piece of paper and I can cut it into a snowflake if I want to, or I can leave it alone. I did do it on top of another sheet of paper. So this one also has some color on it. So I could use that for something. You can spritz it inside if you wanted to. You can see what the differences are between spritzing versus an eyedropper versus the snow, and how that all works out. Is a little bit of snow enough? Do you need to leave it out for longer? What do you need to do to make it look beautiful? Super easy, super fun. Get some really nice crafts out of it and get outside and play. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Don't forget to live and play every day. Bye.